Hello! Today we are going to go over the instructions for use of my Loadmaster. The WMH Racing Loadmaster is simply a motor mount coupler. You put in your motor to test one of these slots and you put in a slave motor in the other side. It's got these nice little spring contacts so you don't actually have to solder wires in. It's on both sides. The slave motor side is attached to a resistor bank, and this resistor bank simulates a load on the motor. We all know that measuring these motors with the motor analyzers produces no load, and we get maximum RPMs out of that, but we don't really know how the motor reacts under a load. So when a motor is brand new, we fully expect that it's going to work under load without issue. But as your motor ages, we can refer back to the test that we do when it's brand new and see how it actually compares to when it was fresh. And this helps you determine whether or not you need a new motor. So today, the motor that we're going to test is an R1 V21S 21.5. Also, I am using the Hobbywing tunalizer for this test. You can use any of the current motor analyzers on the market, the Hobbywing or the Sky RC, and also excuse me a second, the Motorlizer 2. All these are verified to work with this unit. Hobbywing does say that they see most common that the most current that the tunalizer can handle is 12 amps. Alright, you will see that I have color-coded wires, blue, yellow, white, ABC. Also, they are labeled ABC up on the top, so you can't really mix it up. Alright, so we put 21.5 in there. Now, a note on the choice for slave motors. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you the difference of a couple of motors being used as the slave motor. I have a 25.5. I have a USGT motor, and I have a 13.5. I think, yep. I also have a 17.5, a Surpass Rocket V6. Now this motor's got a very strong magnet in it. The rotor is pretty beefy. All right, but the theory here is that a higher term motor, i.e. the 25.5, is actually going to put the most load on your testing motor. So this is where you need to be careful, because if you are going to test a 13.5, you don't want to use a 25.5 as your slave motor, because the 25.5 motor will put too much of a load on the 13.5. But I'm testing a 21.5, so we'll start out with the 25.5 slave. Also to note, there are multiple resistor banks that you can get. This is the 1 ohm, 100 watt resistor bank, and as you go down in resistance on the resistor bank, you will produce more of a load. I also have a 2 ohm resistor bank, and I can also do a half ohm resistor banks, but those are going to be pretty high. I only recommend those for 25.5 motors. All right, so what we're going to do, which I just run the auto motor test because it's the easiest and it's noisy. All right, so we see that we have a current 11.2 amps. That is with the 25.5. Now we'll put in the USGT motor. And I expect that this will be a little bit less. And current is 10.1 amps. Now I will try the surpass. Oh, you hear that baby sing? I can already tell you it's less amps due to the pitch of the RPM. Yep, 5.62 amps. And finally, the 13.5. And 5.73 amps. On that is kind of interesting. Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. I would have expected have expected this 13.5 to be less of a load than the Surpass. But I guess the general theory does hold up. All right, now to actually test the motor, and I will use the 25.5 for my actual tests. And right now the timing is, I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if I can, yeah, look at that, 40 degrees. All right, we are going to drop the timing down to 30 degrees. All right, so we're looking for relatively easy information, right? I see we have current of 8.54 amps. We have a kV of 1944. and the in-bell timing says it's 32.1 degrees. So the kV is the number we're looking for. The kV is the velocity constant of the motor. Basically, it's the RPMs per volt that the motor is turning. We will be looking at the actual current versus the kV. What we'll be looking for in the timing is to find that spot where the kV increases the most for the least amount of current. As we move the timing up on the motor, we will notice that the kV increases. We will also notice that the current increases. So I'm going to do this in 5-degree increments, setting it 35 degrees on the can now. Your best bet is to record this in a spreadsheet so you can actually view the numbers. Since I'm just doing this as an instructional, I'm not really worried about that. That's for you guys tuning later. That's pretty cool, like wandered off. It does have rubber feet on it, so if you put it on a hard surface, it'll kind of stay in place instead of this rubber mat that I'm sitting on. All right, so we noticed that at 35 degrees, we got 9.54 amps of current, and the kV is 2014. So the kV did go up, and the current did go up. Bump this up to 40. Also check to make sure that the resistor is not getting too hot. And again, we get a bump in the kV, we get a bump in the current draw. I do know that the sweet spot for the R1 is pretty much at 40 degrees on the can. So if you are following along and you happen to be analyzing the numbers, right now we're looking at 10.3 amps and 2066 kV. So if we did a ratio of that, and now we do this test, the ratio will be, although that sounds pretty loud, the ratio should be somewhat worse. Now we go to 11.46 amps and 2102 kV. And this next one is where I will stop. I'm going to 50 degrees on the can, which ends up being around 52, 53 degrees on the actual rotor. All right, now 2144 and 12.79 amps, and I mean it is climbing up there. So things to be careful about: one, resistor's getting warm, and right now, even only those, I mean, they're warm. It's not hot by any means, but yeah, I mean they're warm. So you do have to be careful on that. Let your motor cool, let your resistors cool, let the slave motor cool. I'm actually running this off of a 12-volt power supply, so it's fine. It's still it's doing 7.4 volts regulated on the device itself. And yeah. there you go. There are the instructions to use the Loadmaster. Thanks. Bye.